Hey guys, Poketon King here, back with another Flesh and Blood video. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's been happening over the last couple of weeks, a couple of little sales that I've seen in the UK that were interesting, and just the overall market, kind of where we are now going into March. So it is March 2nd at the moment. It's been about a week since I've done any long form content. Trying to juggle the short form, long form, and running the business can be difficult. On different social medias and that, but we've got some more long form content now. So the Flesh and Blood market at the moment, I've seen a couple of solds in the UK now. Things that don't often pop up. So Crucible of War first edition box sold for 270, which I think is a healthy price. Arcane Rising first edition sold for around £950, which is quite surprising. I think that's actually above market. If you look at that in dollars. But the market is moving, it's tax season, so I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find some of these things. As I've talked about in the past, the thinness of the market, a Scabskin Levers BGS 9 sold for, I think, £500, which is probably about right for Raw in the US. It has come down. It's, I think, the cheapest legendary, but I think that's a pretty good price. If I'd picked, I was looking at picking it up myself, but I decided against it. I think whoever got that was a really good price. I think that's a really good purchase. And then we've had cases of Monarch First Edition for around 225.30, and then Toa First Edition case for, I think, around 180. So, picking up these cases is always good. I've got a friend, he goes by the Seal Case on socials, and I think he's just completed his sealed case collection. I know that Dynasty went out quite a bit that we discussed before. I'm pretty sure he had that already. Or he might have picked it up recently, but I know he was picking up the history pack, and then something like Rosetta and stuff. Surprisingly, the newest sets are quite hard to find. Any sealed cases, I think, in the UK and Europe are quite expensive now. Even so in the US, people have just been pumping. Rudy's been pumping Fab. A lot has been moving. Obviously, like a lot of the Fables has been moving again. The Tunic's going up again. A lot of the playable stuff obviously is. So we're going to talk about a couple of bits here. Obviously, Viserai LL'd, which was bound to happen. A lot of the Wizard stuff. I've been selling a lot of Wizards, so I try to discuss what I see for myself. Because the market in different countries is very different. So I pay attention to the US market, but there's enough guys in the US that are going to talk about that, whereas there aren't really many in the UK and Europe that discuss it. So a lot of stuff I've been selling recently is a lot of Guardian, a lot of Mech, and a lot of Wizard. It's always so interesting in this game, and we talk about it all the time, where it goes through phases, and obviously it goes through different classes being playable, different classes being spec'd. There's a mix of people buying because armory decks are announced, or a hero's LL'd, or a hero is up and coming, or simply specking on a hero that potentially could be good in the future. So I think for a while that we did discuss specking on things like Guardian and things like Wizard. And Wizard's gone through like a couple of specs in the past 12 months. Obviously, Runeblade has, its spec, and I had a lot of stuff from like Tales of Aria. I think a lot of stuff from Mistveil is, relatively cheap now. Levels has come down quite a lot. The legendaries as well. Even the extended arts are quite cheap. I've got one of the Traverse and the Petal extended arts. They're very pretty cards, but they're a lot cheaper than I thought they would be, just simply because, they're not in demand. And the same as cards like Levels as well. But then you've got the opposite of that when you've got cards that are just going up again, like E-Strike's going up again. I think Codex just hit 100. Obviously, Command and Conquer, I think, has kind of settled on the price. Obviously, we had the reprint in the Hunted, but I don't think really it didn't do anything. Obviously, the CNC Marvel has gone up, but the standard ones. So obviously, with like Guardian, the Volder, we had the Volder announcement, the adult Volder. So a lot of the Guardian stuff started moving, which I've noticed. I report it as I see it, essentially. So it kind of works out well. Being a single seller, it works out quite well. I'd say I'm probably one of the biggest ones in the UK. Not to the same level as like brick and mortar stores and the big guys that have been going for a while, but I do all right. And a lot of the Guardian stuff. I've sold a lot of Earthlore bounties recently. This is the non-foil versions. I think the cold foil versions I might have sold out of actually, and then tectonic plating I've already sold out of already of that. Like quite a lot of these early L's now they're starting to like pick up steam. Some of them they just sell out, and it's just kind of hard to get them back. So that Mask of Momentum, obviously Ninja Mask of Momentum has been going up for a while now. Even the white border stuff, like I had a white border on there for ages that nobody wanted, and it just went. A lot of the white border stuff now is starting to sell for me, and the black border foreign languages as well. I think that's because people are like, look, I just want this card however way I can get it. So I'm absolutely happy with it not being English or being black border. So that's happened with a lot of cards that I've recently, I sold a Storm Striders, a lot of Storm Striders, sold out of Storm Striders, sold out of Tectonic Plating, sold out of Mask. I've sold out of Grasp the Art Knight as well. I had a few orders recently, large orders, and I mean, if you're buying singles, I'd say large is over £100. And they were a few £100, and they were just pure wizard builds. So play sets of Lesson Lava, play sets in Blazing Aether, which is weird because that's Kano. I'm pretty sure Blazing Aether is the Kano spec. I'm not sure, but quite a lot of the early like wizard stuff as well from the first few sets. Obviously Guardian, as I spoke about. The Verdance is doing quite well, so I guess that makes sense why some of the wizard stuff. Obviously we had kind of leaks for this Riptide. We're not. I think it's Riptide anyway. It looks like that. We had a couple of leaks. I'm not sure if they've been official. I think it's purely just leaks. Obviously, we know that High Seas has come in. We've got Pirates. It's most likely going to have Ranger. So, Riptide's probably going to have something in there, I guess. People are specking. That's the great thing. When you've got, and I'm talking sort of just this year, really, but you've got the Hunted comes out, and then you've got, obviously, the Aurora deck was announced. We obviously had Jarl towards the end of last year, and we got the Max Armory deck as well. So you've got like Mech that's moving, you've got like Wizard stuff that's moving, you've got Guardian stuff, you've got Ice stuff, Ninja stuff. Like there's a lot of the classes that are moving. So my advice always, when trying to navigate this market is you kind of want to be one step ahead. And I know that's very difficult because in a game like Fab, the average player isn't going to hold on to multiple decks because it's an expensive game, right? It is an expensive game. And we've talked about this over the time, but it is simply an expensive game. But hobbies are also very expensive. I've collected TCGs my whole life. I've been playing card games in and out my whole life. And it is expensive. Same as I used to collect comic books. I used to collect like steel books and stuff, and yeah, it gets expensive. Hobbies are expensive. They are luxury items. There's definitely an entitlement around some people where they think they should be able to own everything they want for cheap. Unfortunately, that's not the reality. We need to live in reality, and that is just the case. The way that Flesh and Blood is marketed, the way it has been developed, and the way it is sold, James and LSS want it to be an expensive premier card game. This isn't Pokemon where you can build a deck for £80 and be competitive. And if you're watching this and you're like, I really like the idea of Fab, but I don't want to spend any money, that's fine. Just buy an Armory deck that's not too expensive and just play casually with your friends. But if you want to be competitive at this game or want to have a chance of doing well, you're going to have to spend money. And it is an investment, right? This is an investment like anything. You are going to be putting money and time into this card game. So once you've got a lot of your legendaries, and that's the thing, if your hero, if you decide to change hero for whatever reason, there's a new hero coming out, and you might go, right, my advice would be to perhaps sell the legendaries and keep the majestics, because that majestic slot is just so valuable. It has been for a while now, especially those generics. A lot of the generic stuff, obviously, you can use in multiple decks. The same as why, some of the generic legendaries are expensive. That's why Tunic has always been expensive. Obviously, it got the reprint multiple times, and it did go down quite a bit, but it's obviously come back up again because people aren't opening as much sealed, the supply is a lot lower, and there's more players coming into this game. This game is super healthy right now. There are so many people coming into this game all the time that there just isn't enough around. So I don't know. There's calls for History Pack 2. I mean, if you look at the sets that History Pack 2 would include, I'm not really sure how much that helps, honestly. I mean, History Pack 2 includes Toa, Monarch, and Everfest. Now, there's not a whole ton in those 3 sets. I mean, all 3 of those sets are the only 3 sets that you can still get for below retail. So I don't know how History Pack 2 would help. Now, I think this Guardian Mastery set that's going to be coming out in the summer, and I've said this a billion times, I do think there's going to be reprints in it. I really do think there's going to be reprints. Because it's Guardian, but also it's going to be generics. So I wouldn't be put past them if they reprint things like E-Strike. If they reprint... I don't think they'll reprint Tunic again. I think James said they're done with that. But they're obviously going to put stuff moving forward. They might have a new Tunic that's generic, that's a legendary. I don't know. But I do think there's going to be reprints in there. But that's kind of just the game, really. Like, people are building one deck, then something else happens, it LLs, and then you move on to the next one. But you've got to start from scratch. Whereas if you collect the game, I think it becomes a bit easier. Because if you open in product, and I've always said this, people need to open more product. You can't just build one deck, don't ever buy packs and expect the prices to be cheap. Because if every player doesn't open product, then who is going to open product? Collectors? Well, you don't want collectors in the game. Investors? Well, you don't want investors in the game. Stores? Well, why are stores going to do that? If you want all the single prices to be cheap, then there's no point opening a product if everything's cheap. So the economy of the game needs all of that. But I do agree, some certain things are quite expensive. And I'm definitely put off building certain things because it's expensive. I just don't build it, honestly. I know that's probably not the answer for everyone, but that's the answer that I give myself. Maybe I'm gaslighting myself, I don't know. I mean, I'm bad at this game anyway, so I don't have to worry too much about this. But it is an expensive hobby, as I've said. But so much movement. Obviously, Rudy's pumping the game again, as per usual. He has a playbook. He follows it all the time. It's pretty standard. We are also in tax season. We're kind of in another bubble for TCGs in general. Across the board, a lot of stuff is moving. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been selling really well for me. Magic the Gathering, obviously, they announced everything, basically. They've obviously announced the Final Fantasy stuff. They've announced the Tarkir, the new Dragon set. Then they announced... what did they announce? They announced the Marvel set. Obviously not announced, but we've got bits of the Marvel set now. So we know that's happening. And I feel like there's another set that I'm missing. Oh, Avatar. Yeah. I mean, they're doing everything. They're doing everything. And I've said this, they're going to future-proof their product. So the TCG landscape, for the most part, is very expensive. And obviously Pokemon. Don't even get me started on Pokemon. But you can still play Pokemon for cheap. Because so many collectors open product to get those chases, and there's lower rarity of everything, that all these playables are opened in mass. There's an endless supply of these trainers and these playable cards, these EXs, these Vs, because people are opening product all the time. And that's kind of the way it is. So I know we had restocks of the Hunted that's come back in, which is great. Stores have started to get that. My LGS had it. They've also got Rosetta now as well, and Heavy Hitters. I didn't see Misfail. I don't know if that was just because they didn't want to order it, but also I'm not sure Misfail's the set that most people wanted stuff from. But it's interesting always with this game, and I enjoy it. I just love watching it because I always see in Discords the want to buys, and they are the same. It will be announcement. It's insert announcement / so it'll be Armory deck announcement / new set / leak / a hero doing well at a certain top in a certain event, and people will look at that deck and go, right, okay, this card works with this card. And then it'll be want to buy 3 times copies of 1 times copy. And it's all the same. And when you've got such a little supply of these cards, and everyone wants to buy the cards at the same time, that's going to happen. And I feel like a broken record because I talk about this all the time, and it will never change. This is a utility-based game. People want the same things. They want to have a meta deck, and it's generally going to be involving a couple of heroes that's going to be the top meta. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. But I don't know. With Viscera, obviously LLN, I guess that will shake things up. That will change things. I'm not sure how well as Verdance will do without Viscera, but I don't know who the next. I'm gonna have a look because I actually don't even know who's near the LL. Living Legend. I could have prepared this for the video, but that would be organised. Let's have a look. Yeah, all I see is people that are trying to get into Flesh and Blood, but Living Legend's confusing. So it is Dash. Zen picked up 42 points from Hunted. Azalea, 23. Fi didn't pick up very much. Enigma picked up a lot. Obviously, Nu picked up loads. Aurora. So you've got Prism as well, did really well. I think that Syndra, obviously, well, it's all picked up by Syndra, so it's quite interesting. What heroes didn't pick anything up? Obviously, Dash didn't get anything. Katsu, RIP Katsu. My boy Victor, Azuri, Rhinar, Levia, Max. Oh, that'll change. Arachne, Olympia, and Betsy. Poor Betsy at the bottom still. It's quite interesting that two of the heroes that came out in the Hunted are just shit, to be honest. Have they got the because it was RTNs, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the they had the Living Legend as well, but yeah, it was the RTNs. So yeah, it's interesting. I guess we'll see. It is updated, I think, as of this week. Yeah, I think so. And then I think UK Nats is coming up as well, and I guess US Nats. So that'll be interesting. I know. I'm definitely going to Worlds, as I've mentioned. We're still waiting to find out. Obviously, Pro Tour London's the next Flesh and Blood event I'm at. UK Games Expo, they just announced that Fab is going to be back at UK Games Expo, which is a fantastic idea, honestly. W's in the chat for LSS and for LR events, you know, Ryan, Fabio, and Ollie, who's going to be there from PCG, I assume. Those did a fantastic job last year. That was my first UK Games Expo. I had the press pass, and I was going anyway, because my friend was going anyway for a One Piece tournament. So I was like, hey, look, I'll go. I'll have a look. You know, I haven't done an event like this where it's like a hobby event. You know, I do a lot of card shows, and I also do a lot of like Pokemon events, and then obviously Flesh and Blood events and other card game events, you know, sort of here and there. But UK Games Expo was the first one I did, and I had a fantastic time. It really was an amazing event. And Flesh and Blood is going to be back again for the whole weekend. I think it's going to be one of the biggest card games that's out there. Last year it was Flesh and Blood, Lorcana, Star Wars Unlimited, One Piece, Digimon, Dragon Ball. So it'll be interesting to see what else is this year. It'll be One Piece again. But Fab's going to have product there. So it's a week before High Seas. They're going to have loads of events over the weekend. I did see that there's 4 summer convention promos. So 4 separate ones. So last year it was the Blaze Firemind, which was obviously the young hero that people use for skirmish. And they had a pretty good deal. You got the promo for entering some of these events, and then you got these other promos, which was the Prism and the other one. The other one from Dust Till Dawn, the young versions with Vincent. That's it, Vincent, and a playmat, which was a heavy hitters playmat, I believe. So that was pretty cool. If you spent, I think it was bought 2 boxes, which was pretty cool. So it was a great event. If I have pictures still saved, I'll post them up here. But the setup is pretty much kind of what you see at a lot of these events now. It was fantastic. It looked really good. They have actual proper learn to play events this time as well. They were showing a lot of people, so they had a lot of judges there. They were showing people how to play the game. And I know so many people that got into Fab because of UK Games Expo last year, which is great to see, because that's how we're going to get the future of the people in this game. You know, more players is always a good thing. And, you know, it shows the demand that we've seen in the last 12 months. So the event's going to be fantastic. Really excited to be seeing it. I will cover it on the channel, as always, short and long form content. And we're going to hope to be opening some cases there. If we can acquire a large amount of cases, we'll probably do so there at the event. I need to speak to the guys at LR Events about that. because now obviously they've changed it so they can sell with LSS, stores can sell from pre-release. So they're going to get a lot of earlier sales now, which I guess is good and bad. I mean, you can't sell on Card Market early, and I can't currently sell in the UK Discord because I'm a retailer, I am a retailer essentially. I know there's others that get around it, so I've seen it. I'm not gonna call anybody out, like, because it's not my business, but there are others that get around it. But which sucks. It means I can't sell, but I'll see people's want to buys and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting. It'll be a great event. Really exciting. High Seas Pirates should be good. So yeah, the market is doing well. A lot of stuff is moving. It'll be interesting to see after April, once we've had the new tax year end, if prices kind of like stagger a little bit or they kind of go down. So it'll be interesting to see. And for those of you who are counting mental count, I know there's one of you, and I know you're counting how many times I say mental in a video. I've just done that to help you out a little bit because I noticed some of them was 0. I'm sorry. After the video where I said it about 1 billion times. But yeah, the game is good. We're happy. Let me know your thoughts below of where the game is right now. Are you excited for High Seas? Did you like the Hunted? What you think of the prices? You know, what hero are you going to run? And kind of your thoughts, really. Just comment anything. I said this on the last video. Just comment anything. It helps with the engagement. If you're telling me to fuck myself, absolutely, you can comment it. Like, comment, subscribe. You know, all that engagement stuff really helps the video do well early on. And it gets my voice out to the masses, which is what we want. That's why we're making the content, to reach as many people as we can. And help this game grow and become, you know, the best card game out there. So thank you as always, and have a great day.